Bending trees? Really? Well, not really actually bending them, more bending them with light or with the camera. So let's go this way and I'll show you. So it's taken me about a week to get here, not because it's a long way away, it's just the weather's been diabolical. So yeah, so I'm here. So if continuity is not so good, just bear with me, won't you? Hello there. Today we'll be talking about azaleas with me, Dennis. Yeah, I think we got away with it. I don't think they noticed. So we finally got to where I was aiming for. It's my favourite clump of trees. Probably clump is not a good word. Copse of trees against a clear sky, so that the trees stand out and give a nice contrast for when we're trying to do the tree bending exercise. So let's see what we get. Right, home now, and let's see what we've got. This is called Old Man's Hill on my way home. Probably doesn't do it justice, this camera thing. It's very steep. Wish I could just click my fingers and be back in the studio. Anyway, let's try it. Yep, that worked. So I'll be doing that in the future. So back in the studio, you can see my bicycle in the background, as everybody has a bicycle in the studio, don't they? Anyway, there's sort of good news and bad news regarding what I did earlier. Some of the images came out interesting, but they weren't what I set out to do, which is often the way with this sort of thing. So looking at these on my Lightroom, these are some of the ones that I chose. So you can see there's a sort of a bit of a mixture. The ones that sort of looked like what I set out to do, for instance this one, you can see we're obviously bending trees, so we're doing what we set out to do, which is good, but I didn't catch them with the sort of definition that I wanted to. Sometimes you can get them with very much more definition. Obviously I was moving left to right and not moving in quite the right way. So that's the sort of, if I pull up this one, that's a slightly more interesting one that I was fiddling around with earlier. And if you make it a bit more contrasty, it's cool because they look like mountains with snow on over in the background. But again, that's not really what I set out to do. But in fiddling around with the various motion, and as you saw from the video, it's a very subtle motion. So I'm holding the camera and basically moving it down and just slightly tilting it round to the right. Obviously in this case not particularly well, but I ended up trying some other things, which was moving the coming down with the camera and then moving off to one side. I think no, it was going up with the camera and then moving off to one side, which I quite enjoyed because it made these wonderful sort of very atmospheric. If I go to the next one, sort of pulls all of the light across the trees. So And then there was a bit of sunshine that we managed to pick out here. So that was quite good. And the trees are still quite bent. So there was an element of bending the trees as I moved the camera upwards, and then I moved it to the side to make more of this sort of cross light sort of wispiness. So yeah, so that was the upshot of all the work in the woods. As you can see, it's a very subtle movement, and it's really you know, something that you need to just try over and over again and come back and think, oh no, I didn't do that, and then you'll go out again. But yeah, so I hope that shows you a little bit of how the actual movement in the camera goes. And going back to sort of the technical setup, I've got an ND filter, which is in my case a 7 3/4 stop ND filter, which is basically sunglasses for the camera to stop light coming in, so I can use a longer exposure. This image that we can see in front of us was a 2.5 second exposure, so all of that movement happens in 2.5 seconds, and you can, you know, play with it so it's longer and you spend more time doing stuff, or whether it's shorter. I mean, shorter times and faster movement lead to straighter lines, so maybe it would be worth me going out again and trying this with a shorter shutter speed. But as I say, it's all about experimentation, and sometimes it works and sometimes you get something that you weren't setting out for. But I hope you enjoyed this little journey into bending trees. If you can click the like button or subscribe, I'd be very grateful, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.